watching the Alberniweather podcast for November 19th, 2024. It's just after 1:30 in the afternoon, and we are going to look at this storm, where we're at, the impacts that we're already seeing, and what to expect tonight. So, if you haven't already, you can check out my blog at alberniweather.ca. I will be posting updates there throughout the day, so you should see those all day long, as they get updated. So please do check those out. You'll also be able to see all of the information. I would recommend going to the satellites here. Page to see the storm as it it's amazing, this storm. Look at that. It's just a thing of beauty. And it has really developed in the past, just in the morning, really. You've been able to see that that circle really come out clear. We can look at the animation here and go back. I'm just going to go back a little longer here. So it'll take a minute for it to fill in, but yeah, just amazing storm brewing out there. You'll want to look also at the barometer. You can see the barometer here on the side. It's just below the solar and the UV. So right now we're at 1004.2 hectopascals. That's 100.4 kilopascals. And this has gone down almost 6 hectopascals since this morning, which is very quick. There's there it is in its glory. Let me just zoom in on this a little bit so you can see it a little better. So just an amazing storm. And if we go back uh, to this morning, so before or just after sunrise. So this is just after sunrise, around 7 o'clock this morning. Um, it was only just starting to spin up then, and then it just really quickly, you can see it starting to spin. So really amazing storm. The other portion of this that you're not going to hear about as much here in British Columbia is the atmospheric river that's attached to this storm. So that's going all the way back to the Central Pacific, and this is going to be impacting the Northern California, Southern Oregon area with some really serious rainfall. So that's the other portion of this storm that's going to cause a lot of damage. But we certainly have plenty to worry about up here. So another thing I wanted to show you, no, wasn't that one, is there we go. So I wanted to show you the marine buoys. So you can get to this from the marine link on the forecast page at Alberniweather. So if you click on marine here, you can see here's the hurricane force wind warning. If you click even just on that, you can go to weather conditions and you can see the conditions on the ocean and on the strait all around Vancouver Island. So I'm going to be looking at La Perouse Bank here. So we can see it's already gusting to 39 knots, which is 70 kilometers an hour. And the waves are already at 3 meters. So that's 10 feet. And if we look at South Brooks, which is just off the north coast of the island, waves there are already 4 meters, and gusting to 38 knots. What'll be really interesting to see is the lighthouses down on Juan de Fuca. So there's Race Rocks, which is what I'll really be keeping an eye on. We're expecting 65 knot winds this evening in the Strait of Juan de Fuca. So we should see that at Race Rocks light station. Right now it's already at 42 knots, which is over 70, yeah, almost 80 kilometers an hour. So it's already blowing very hard down there, and this is an easterly, um, which I don't remember easterlies this strong um, ever in my experience. Just gonna go look through all of them. So east, that's east. Victoria Gonzalez, that's east northeast. East northeast, yeah, like this is, and this is all driven by that low. So because the low is, so far offshore, just the way that it's positioned, right? It's essentially directly to the east of us, and it's acting accordingly. So, yeah, it's really something to see these easterly winds coming out to meet that low. Normally these lows would be moving much quicker and would be moving up into the island, and that's why we would normally get, a southwesterly flow or a southerly flow, or even a southeasterly flow if it was, moving up sort of sideways to the island. But because this one is so far out, and yet it is so deep, we're just getting the wind is just pulling straight off of the continent, and out to sea, so straight east towards that low. So really unusual. If these easterly winds continue, and continue to strengthen, I do worry that we'll see some damage just from trees that aren't used to that direction of wind. So that's kind of the current situation. The models are all finished for this morning, so I was going to go look at that. I had a quick look a little while ago, and nothing had changed significantly as far as timing. Um, I don't believe, so we'll just check that out again here. So that's this morning, Tuesday, 1 o'clock. So you can see we're pretty much right on schedule. So we can see the model is expecting 30 to 40 knot winds on Lapperouse Bank. That's out here. So it's expecting 45 by now. Well, by 1 o'clock. So we're about half an hour after that. So yeah, it might be a little weaker, or it might be a little later than this model is. So it's good to start to get some confirmation of what we're actually seeing compared to the models. So in the next 3 hours, we're really going to start to see these winds pick up. You can see that by 4 o'clock. We're expecting Lapperouse should be 55 knots. That's 100 kilometers an hour. Um, even yeah, 55. Yeah, 55. So um, that's what we're going to be expecting out there by 4 o'clock or so. And in the Strait of Juan de Fuca, we should be up towards 40 knots, 45, 50 knots in the strait there. So we're already getting into that. Um, and you can see these are all easterly flowing winds. So that's going to be something to watch for. BC Ferries has canceled sailings. I put up an update not too long ago on those canceled sailings, so check those out. Everything after, I believe, 5 o'clock is canceled, so make sure you go to bcferries.com and check those. You never know, they might cancel an earlier one too if the winds start to pick up a little earlier than expected. So keep your eye on BC Ferries. And what I'm looking for at the Alberni in the Alberni Valley is with this easterly wind. So we can see here this is 35 knots. Looks like kind of over Mount Arrowsmith. You can see there's some strong winds, just patches of strong wind, which I mentioned yesterday. That's up to 64 kilometers an hour. And then at 7 o'clock is the peak of this storm. So this looks like between about 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock tonight is when we're going to have the strongest winds, with the peak somewhere around 7 or 8 o'clock. So you can see here this is 40 knots, which is up to 70 kilometers per hour. Um, the actual blue areas here that the model is showing is actually 50 knots. So that's 90 kilometers an hour. So that's right in line with that guidance from Environment Canada today as far as our expected strongest winds. And by then it does look, you can see the barbs here, the wind barbs do shift slightly. So they go from easterly mostly at 4 o'clock to just slightly southeast at 7 o'clock. And then by 10 o'clock, it switches over to southeast more completely. So I'm really interested to see how this works out. Um, if we see a really strong easterlies, we could see it come up over top of Mount Arrowsmith, what's called a mountain wave, which you'd be able to see if there was a. We'll be able to see if we can see it through the clouds. But if there's a cap on Mount Arrowsmith, that is sort of, you know, on the west facing side, facing Port Alberni, um, or yeah, then we should have that indication that there's very strong winds up there and they're coming straight over that ridge. So we'll see how that goes. I am worried that these east or southeast winds will be impactful in the Alberni Valley. Obviously, there's going to be very strong winds all over the coast. 110 out on the west coast, 100 on the east coast, probably 90 to 100 in Victoria and the San Juan Islands and the Gulf Islands, and the Northern Gulf Islands as well, and then 120 up at in the North Island. So tons of wind is coming, and we can expect power outages, trees down, and all of that stuff. The other aspect that I wanted to point out, and I believe Environment Canada had just seen that they put a new advisory up. I want to see if it's here. No, it's not there. So let's go check here. Yeah, so for yeah, this is the right one. So for Vancouver, they said elevated ocean water levels accompanied by significant wind and waves are expected, likely exceeding the highest astronomical tide. So it says minor flooding near coastal areas due to waves crashing on shore. Um, so this is really just storm surge combined with the high tides. So the good news is the low tide is expected to be around the same time as the strongest winds. Let's see if I can find it quickly this time. God, I hate this website so much. It is just the worst. Uh, there we go. So there's Port Alberni. So we should be able to see. Oh, this is the worst website. There we go. Um, yes, there we go. So we're at the high tide right now. 2 o'clock is the high tide for today. There we go. Interesting. So already, we're already seeing a little bit of a storm surge. Wow, that's lucky we actually got to see this. So the predicted tide, and so you can see the red is the observation. So that's the actual measured level of the water at the Port Alberni station. Um, and I'm just going to see if, oh, again, I don't like this. Don't like this website very much. It's very hard to use and very slow. All right. There we go. Okay. So let's go back. Let me go back. No, it's not going to let me go back. Oh, man. Anyway, all right. So you can see the observations, the prediction here at the top of the last tide, which was last night, or yesterday at 1:20, right? Was 3.5 was the prediction, and the observation was 3.5 meters. And look at it right now. So right now, the prediction was 3.3 meters, but the observation is actually 3.5 meters. So that's 0.2 meters, that's 20 centimeters higher than expected or calculated. And that's completely due to this low pressure system. So that's the reason for the warning in Vancouver. They might have high tide at a different time. The good news is low tide tonight is at 9 o'clock, which is pretty much after the strongest winds are going to be in play. Um, I would still expect that this low tide will be higher than predicted. It'll probably be, it might be 0.5 meters instead of 0.2 meters. Maybe even more than that. I don't know. I'll have to come back to this website to see. This late night or early morning high tide, 3 o'clock, it says 4 o'clock in the morning, 2.7 meters. That's probably going to be higher because of the wind and the pressure. So that's something to look out for. You might want to check your tidal station if you're in a different place. See what time the tides are, and see what you can expect, whether they're going to coincide with the strongest winds. So long story short, just make sure you're careful if you're anywhere near the water. There might be some minor flooding due to this storm. So okay, I think I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. I'll keep you updated through the rest of the day and into this evening, and we'll see how this all goes. All right, thanks very much.